So hi, Susie. Thank you so much for being here, and let me put you on the spotlight video. Hi.
Thank you. Hi, and thank you very much for inviting me. And Lena, I would just like to say you are going to be on an amazing journey in this lifetime that you've started. You're as beautiful inside as you are out. And I am so excited to hear where you're going to be in 10 years. Because, my God, when you get your confidence, you are going to shine through this world, really. So thank you for being you. Thank you for living and choosing to more than exist. And what you have is very special with the world. So thank you. I'm looking forward to catching up with you in a few years' time.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you.
Welcome.
So I have known Susie for many, many years because of matrix reimprinting. But she really touched my heart about a month and a half, two back. I was invited to be part of Tapathon, matrix reimprinting, where we were supposed to go and talk and do EFT for half an hour. There were many rules around it. We were supposed to go Facebook Live. And I do talks every day, but I couldn't figure it out. I was scared. I was nervous. I was shivering. If somebody said, get out of this whole mess that you put yourself, I would have turned around. But something inside me kept saying, you're not doing that. I've never actually called up my friends and said, I need therapy. I actually took therapy from my friends, more than 2 people who sat down with me and actually did some good tapping on me. And someone actually, Dr. Crazy sat down and did therapy on me for more than 1.5 hours and said, I don't get it. I said, well, I also don't get it. Then I thought maybe it's about, trying to, Carl Dawson had never asked me to represent me on matrix reimprinting, though I am the pioneer in the field of matrix reimprinting in India. But somehow I've never given myself that importance of being the first. In fact, I've never written it in my profile. And as the first matrix reimprinting master trainer of India, I've never written that. I've always written, I'm the first master trainer of matrix meta health. And that's when Susie was on the platform and she said, can I help you? When you're really struggling and then there is someone with a smile on their face and saying, I can help you. You know what that means? I just sat down on that day and said, wow, I do have friends and I do have angels around me. Thank you so much for being my angel. And thank you so much for taking my invitation today. Over to you completely. Please go ahead.
Thank you. And you are an angel to so many. And I remember meeting you years and years ago. You just brought an energy and a life and a peace to the room. There was a trust in the room with you. And we knew you were going to do amazing things with this. And I'm so grateful our paths have crossed again. So, and you weren't the only one having meltdowns over Facebook Lives, don't worry. We did some group tapping. I'm really grateful that you invited me. And I know that we spoke this morning. And I said in my own way that I'd been doing a presentation over the weekend and sort of wanted to clarify things. And we decided we were going to go free flow. And now I understand why. After listening to Lena and her amazing message, there's a lot of similarities that have gone along the way. And I think at this particular time, so many people have got money worries. So many people are struggling with their own self-identity, their own worth. Everything that this time and the sort of lockdowns that everybody's under, the uncertainties with work, it triggers in, and it, as Lena said, people aren't existing. That they are literally dead inside. We're going through the flow. We haven't got that human connection. We may have it over the internet, but we don't have that touch. People are struggling for work. Other people are trying to provide for others. And then comes in a girl who says, you know, you can realize your dreams with EFT, and we're going to have a seminar on it. The thing is, as Lena correctly said, is when you can find that spark for existence, then the world will open up. Having been somebody who has attempted suicide in my youth quite a lot of times, and there are a few times it should have succeeded, and we don't know how it didn't. That's because there's something here for me to experience, but there's a purpose to be lived. And that, for me, was saying to people, live your purpose, live your existence, live who you are. And that may seem really hard in the world today. But actually, when we have these opportunities, out of darkness, there is always light. And I come back to the fact you can't see the stars shine if it's daytime. There is a beauty within the dark that can always be found. And as Lena said, going from into her depression, she comes out stronger each time. When we can stop fearing the dark and allow ourselves, when we're not right, that what I call hippo time to wallow in the fact that you feel down, you feel out, you feel beaten, you feel all of these things. And then when that energy starts to just come, then we can do the transformative work, and then we can come out of it. My likeness for hippo time is the Fantasia movie. In there, they have the hippos, they're wallowing in the mud. And then the next thing, they're up and they're about dancing in tutus. How many of us have had a really, really bad day, only then to have some experience with a friend, with a loved one, where we've laughed and that day has turned around? Our life experiences will come and shape us. But what we need to do is keep checking in. Are we living our true selves? We can step into judgment about ourselves so much, but we also feel judgments from other people around the world. We can feel judgments from our teachers, from our friends, from social media. We all live in judgment in some way or other. And even when I'm saying I'm really pleased that I do not judge others, oh God, I'm really good at judging myself still. So we really can do an inside job. And the reason being is we're missing that spark. Lena asks a brilliant, I think Anu actually a brilliant question, and it's actually one that I run on my online programs. It's one of the first things whenever you're looking for success is, what does true success mean to you? Because only when you know what it is that you are striving for, and we're all trying to be successful in our lives. We're trying to be successful in our homes, in our work, marriages, with our children, all sorts. That's what we're trying for success. What is success to you? As Anu actually mentioned, I am an English girl living in Turkey, because for some reason the universe decided that Turkey was going to be my home. It took listening to my intuition and following that spark inside me. I'm actually not sure if Anu is aware of this. I was the first meta-medicine and matrix re-imprinting trainer in the world. And the minute I got that accolade, I came out to Turkey to write a book because I had to live up to that expectation. That book never got written, and actually, throughout that point of 3 months, I changed my whole direction of where I was going with this work and me as a person. I realized that part of my problems that allowed depression in wasn't, from other people's judgments. It was not for feeling fulfilled in myself. Not having something where it made me spark to get up every morning. there just wasn't, you know, Turkey had come to the fact of, you know, I'd reached this goal, but what was it after? What was I trying for the next certificate, the next accolade? When I tuned into that, I realized that it was something so simple. I need to learn. I am a person who loves to learn and who loves to explore. So within 6 months, I had changed my work from working with health clients, going into the fact that I should be teaching meta because, you know, I used EFT to overcome my own health issues, so I should be doing that. Listening to these amazing teachers who are saying, but no, Susie, your health. In 6 months, I was traveling the world teaching matrix reimprinting, what was soon to become Realize Your Dreams. Because I realized that in order to fulfill myself, I had to listen to what my soul needed. And my soul wasn't happy just connecting with people locally. My soul knew that my tribe was out there. But wow, it was out there because I went to Australia, America. I've got around. But that was what my connection was, to make my heart sing. I've heard an amazing stories from people of how they've recovered and seen them to go on and inspire. And when this lockdown hit, I once again sat back and thought, what is the purpose of all this? Am I worried about my business? No. Am I worried about my partnership? Possibly. Am I worried about his work? Yes. But I feel so much calm. Why? Because of somebody's words who's not in this industry at all, who turned around and said, it's now the time, is we're going to see the true colors in people. We're going to see the souls come forward. We're going to know who we relate to. And from this, we're going to build new communities. But we're going to need to look inside. And this is from a retired prison officer who lives an hour down the road, who's always in the bar. He had that depth of wisdom he was sharing. And I look at it now and think we are connecting all over the world. Everybody's bringing their wisdoms together. My God, if there's ever a time for opportunity and possibility, it is now. Because we have a beautiful time. We can't escape from ourselves. We have that time to go down that rabbit hole, to ask those really awkward questions, knowing that there's a great big shining light at the end of it. And that shining light is ourselves, our true selves, our hearts, our souls. So when people hear that, you know, I teach Realize Your Dreams, and you know, that has expanded to helping practitioners, you know, start their business. I do try to look at the opportunity, possibility, but I also recognize there's a transformation that needs to come. And sometimes that transformation is hard. I've also had to go up against people in our industry amazingly. And I'm going to reference Carl Dawson because he was there. But you should keep yourself at yourself, Susie. You do health. That's what you do. You could have a great career. And it's like, Carl, I want to teach Realize Your Dreams. It's like, why are you doing something fluffy? Why? Because in my life, this hasn't been fluffy. When we're working with health clients, when we're working through health issues ourselves, we have to tune in to what it is we're striving for. When we really connect with our hopes, our goals, and our dreams, then we have that want, that small spark of desire. Now, Lena mentioned there are 3 things that happen when we've just had enough. That's that turning point. Actually, when somebody is striving towards something that is so important to them, they'll want to keep going. That will give them the energy. And along that path, they will find their purpose. So that's why I hold such importance in realizing your dreams. Because I am the Realize Your Dreams girl. That's what my purpose is, to share with everybody. Now, a lot of people, when they hear realize your dreams, will turn around and say, yeah, I've got dreams, I've got goals. What I don't have is money. Money is an energy. And when we're living in our work, when we're following our true selves, money does attract itself to us. Why? Because the universe will always give what you need to fulfill who you are as a person. When you value yourself, magic starts to happen. But also, this is what we come down to conditioning. And again, I was triggered by something Lena said, that duty to our goals. You know, we have a duty to fulfill our goals, but we also step into judgment of how they will be fulfilled. When we can strip away judgment of how something is going to show up in our life, it may be a career change, it may be the partner of our dreams, it may be, you know, the fact of a trip or to see a long lost sister. You never know what's coming, but what we do put is that judgment, how it's going to happen, what's got to happen, how that person is got to be, how expensive will the bill be. When I was overcoming ME and at a point where the only reason at that point I didn't try again to kill myself was because I physically couldn't pick up the bottle of pills. I was that ill. That's when I found Carl Dawson. When I came away from 3 days of learning with him, I sat there and I realized that this thing that had been going on in my mind, that somehow I needed to get away. I'd had this big sort of idea, but I was having dreams every night that I should be in the Caribbean. Now I was out of work. I was about to lose my house. I couldn't walk. What on earth was I supposed to be doing in the Caribbean? It was like a fanciful dream. Everybody was getting angry with me. Why would you dream like that? When I started doing some manifesting work, when I started looking at the importance of myself, and that actually, if I was going to recover from this incurable illness, that I actually needed to change my life. I needed to, you know, develop me. When I realized that, I went online and there was a flight advertisement. There was a flight to a friend of mine in Antigua who I'd actually met on the EFT course. She invited me over. And in the same day, my grandfather sent a check for my birthday. The check was more than what the flight was. And the flight, I didn't even know they existed at that price. It was all in, return, everything, £160 from England to the Caribbean. Now, you cannot get flights for that amount of money. But there it was. And off I went. And as I got there looking for this amazing moment, this, you know, when you see on TV, the shining light and the and everybody's singing, and I thought that was what I was going to do. I was going to step off this plane. I'd realized this amazing dream. And there was nothing. It was tarmac. It was hot. That's what was waiting for me. And I realized that it was just a step in the journey. That wasn't the end point. That was the beginning point. So I'm saving the singing choir and the lights and the rays and everything till much later on in life. When we make that start and we take, even if it is the smallest of actions, our lives can begin to change. Money, we put judgment on money. Money is just an energy. We put the judgment of cost, the judgment of value onto things. When we can start stripping that back and looking at who we are and what it is we truly need. Yes, some people need money in their lives. That's their purpose. But most of us, it's feelings. Most of us, when we really ask ourselves, what is success to you? Mine is actually to go to bed feeling complete peace every night, knowing I've done my best. I've inspired, and I've empowered. And I've had a good laugh that day. Those are what's important to me. And if I can lay my head on that pillow every single night and say, I've done that today, then I go to bed feeling so blessed that I'm alive. So blessed that I'm in a position to help people, to inspire, to empower. But more importantly, to see other people's journeys as they grow and inspire and empower. Because that's the thing, our lives, when we live our purpose, then go so much bigger than us. It ripples out. We impact people where we never even thought. I know there'll be replays of this going out, and I know deep in my heart and my soul, Lena would have reached so many people with her message. And she will reach people who I can't reach with mine. Why? We're on different purposes. I will reach people somebody else couldn't reach. This is why we come together as a community, so that we can be stronger, we can go forward, and we can really step into our own powers and own ourselves and support each other while we do it. So with this lockdown, as I said, it's hard to think, we've got all this amazing opportunity, possibility when we're in the throes of, do people have their jobs? For people, what are people doing for money? How do we keep working? How do we keep strength? The thing is, a lot of the things that have come back to us are the real simple things in life. So when you look at your day and what you're doing, could you name 5 things that have made you smile through this time? Because if you've got 5 things that made you smile in a day, you're having a really awesome day. Because there are many people who don't smile once. And that can be somebody giving you a cup of tea. That could be, one thing for me when all this happened and I was having a stressful day because my partner was in work, out work, in work, out work. It was more in and out than hokey cokey. That was stressful for me, not knowing. I heard the kids go out onto our apartment block, and they had been locked in for 1 month. And they actually went out and played and laughed. And the next thing I heard was they invited the neighbour's child. Now, we weren't allowed to go site to site. But as children do, they opened up without judgment and said, you're all by yourself on that apartment site. Come to our apartment site. And they played together as community. No judgment, no political talk, no nothing of getting in the way of just experiencing that pure happiness of being out, smelling flowers, drawing with chalk on the car park. And that is what we lose as adults, is remembering those pure little gifts. And that is what I think this time, when we can tune into that can give us. I remember talking with Anu, and certainly on the tapathon, she mentioned, embracing cooking with her family. I've actually learned to cook. I'm certainly not a domestic goddess by any point. It was on my goals list. It's now been achieved. My partner, however, who said he was never going to cook in his life, now thinks he's super chef. And we love cooking together and sitting down and having a meal. Before, it was always go to the restaurant, do this. We would connect outside. Now we sit down and we make sure, our lockdown has finished, but we still stay indoors and eat together. We cook together. We laugh and joke together. And that is, part of what I've taken from this time. So when you're looking at the gifts and the opportunities that this time can give you, what are the simple things that you've gone back to doing that you absolutely love? What is it, something new that you've discovered And are you just existing through this time and trying to get through this time? Or are you actually turning inside and saying, you know what? What is it I truly think about this? What is it I truly think about the situation, myself, my part in this? Because as the world is coming together, you have a part too. You have a purpose. And so what comes up for you guys when you're asking, am I really living my purpose or on the journey of my purpose? And I say the journey of my purpose because the purpose is kind of like that finishing point. We have a journey within our purpose, and our purpose evolves and continues evolving. We go up the next step. So are you on that journey? And are you really living yourselves? There's another thing I'm going to share, and it's just because it came up with Lena and a couple of your questions. Sometimes we give up hope way too easily. Why? Based on our experience and our beliefs. We are programmed as to what success is from a very, very young age. We listen to our teachers, to our parents, to the outside world. And now more than ever, we're listening to the media. What is success? What is this for you? It can be in different cultures. As I say, I'm English, I live in Turkey. The cultural differences here are immense, really are immense. In England, as a woman, you have to strive to be everything. You've got to be the mom, you've got to be got to work, you've got to succeed. You've also got to have dinner on the table, or at least know a good takeout number to call. In Turkey, where I live, it's the complete opposite. A lot of people cannot believe that, I've never been married, because I should be striving to be married and find a good husband. And a good husband means that he has health insurance. You find one with health insurance and a car, oof, you've cracked it. That's what is strived for in this particular area of Turkey. So in comes me, never married, coming out of abusive relationships, which I'd walked away from, no children. And when I came here, I was in my early 30s. So the grand old age of, early 30s. It took me a while to realize what I deemed as success in my own personal life. My own personal life was to find a man. It didn't matter if I married him or not. I was to somebody I wanted to laugh with every day. Somebody who would value me as much as I've learned to value me. Somebody who would support my freedom and who would recognize my purpose in this world. And he didn't come in the package that I thought he would. And in fact, I spent 18 months trying to finish the relationship. Every night before I'd go out to meet him, I'd be like, tonight's the night. No, this is done. Why? Because he went against my belief system about valuing myself. When I looked at actually what is a successful relationship for me, it's to be able to talk till 5 o'clock in the morning with somebody and still want to continue talking. And we have that. Somebody where his strengths, help my weaknesses and vice versa. And we have that. And I absolutely am so blessed and thankful that I did not give in to my belief system and send him packing, because that's what's successful to me. So do I have the relationship of my dreams? Yeah. Is he a George Clooney lookalike? No. Is he, perfect in every single way? No. And I love him because he's not perfect. I love him because he is as quirky as I am. I love him because he can screw up right royally. Oh, really screw up as I can, but we never screw up with one another. And he is on his path. He actually is a motor technique man who has never, ever realized a dream in his life because he's never had a dream. So this is the man that I attracted. And I do apologize, it's really hot in Turkey, so I can know I'm sweating. I've attracted the man who's never had a dream in his life. We work on balance at different ends of the scale, but it's made me realize that when you don't have a goal, you can be happy in life, but you're plain old existing. When you're not following the emotions inside of you, and this is really important, is it's not about picking a goal. It's following your emotions towards achieving something, towards experience something or being something. Those emotions are actually what gives us that thrill. It gives us that excitement. So when we're doing EFT and matrix reimprinting, and certainly with meta, we know the power of emotion. We know the power and the destruction of what negative emotion can do. But a positive emotion is 100 times more powerful than a negative emotion. So what happens when you start to find out what excites you? Where is your positive emotion lying? There's this exercise I give every single person who's ever worked with me and also on my program. It was an exercise I learned from Jack Canfield, which was to write down 30 things you want to be, do, or experience in this lifetime. Oh, that sounds really easy. Actually, for many people, 30 will test. For some people, 30 will be easy, some make it 50. The reason being is what I've learned through giving out this exercise is that when we get stuck towards the end, we can go through all the things we want to do. I want to have a nice car, I want to have a nice home, I want to have a nice man, I want to have a nice wife, I want to have a dog. You can go through all of these things. We start from our logical brain. And it's only when we start to run out of the logical brain ideas that we have to start looking. And it gets harder and it gets harder. Because then we have to start looking in our souls. What is it I really want to be, to do, or experience? I can't think of a more important time right now where the world needs us to be asking those questions. Because moving on from, one positive emotion is 100 times more powerful than negative. Can you imagine if somebody is so positively living their life of purpose? How many, I'm unsure of how many we're on this call, but if every single one of you were living your life of purpose, living in that positive energy, and out there saying about yourselves, communicating your message, how many people will you inspire and empower to bring in that positive emotion? It's no longer thanks to, the joys of internet, the stone into the sea and the ripple effect. We have the powers now to create massive waves. So when we can move through the emotion, and that is important, is to recognize our holdbacks, recognize our fears, recognize our judgments, to be really honest with ourselves. That's when actually we can open our minds to the opportunities and possibilities that we have for ourselves during this time. And what amazing possibilities and opportunities could people have if they really step into themselves? Now, many people can think the opportunities, possibilities you're looking for are the big show-stopping glitzy lights. You know, we're looking for a sign and it's got to be big. That's where we're heading for. But sometimes it can be just a simple comment somebody says. Sometimes it can be like I was with Anu, sat playing on Facebook, and we were in the group, and Anu said, "Are you there? Could you help me?" Yeah. And next thing, you know, I'm connecting with you guys all around the world, listening to Lena and being reminded of a few home truths that I shouldn't have forgotten about myself. And so I do thank her for that lesson. That we can, if we are honest about who we are and stuff the bully, stuff what people think, we can really start to make a change within our own lives, but within everybody else's life too. If everybody was realizing their dreams, what would the world look like? If we really looked into our hearts at what we emotionally wanted, okay, it may be a little bit chaotic, but what a beautiful world it would feel like. So I really stripped down what I was going to say. Actually, I had no plans on saying half of this. Because this is, you know, a beautiful group that when I tuned in, it was about being real. But I'm also going to stay true to my purpose, which is I always want to give you things to help you think about yourself. I am known as the question queen, all right, of EFT. I'm also really sweet, but I am a taskmaster, and I always have been. Why? Because I've done this work, and I know that simple 5-minute exercises that can inspire your thought and your thought processes for a few days, that is the best thing we can do to learn about ourselves. And so I love to live in the question and help other people to find their own questions they want to ask life. So I am going to ask you all, once this is over, to write down those 30 things. Look at that list. But I'd like you to write down everything negative that you feel about what's going on in the world right now. Every worry you have, every concern you have. Why? Because it's only when we can own that, can we accept that darkness, that we can open up to see what light can come in and what light is there. I was working with somebody recently, and they actually turned around and said, "You know what, when I look at this, I'm going to feel like I'm stepping into victimhood. I'm going to feel like I'm going to be a spoiled 2-year-old child." And it was like, you know what? I'll show up with you, and I'll stamp my feet. I'll throw my toys out of my pram. I will be that child with you. Why? Because we've all got that child inside us. We are just big kids. And it's okay to express that. It's okay to own it. But it's not okay to stay in it when we have the tools and the changes that we can make. When we can own it and we have this knowledge, we can transform through it. So allow the inner child that's saying, this isn't fair. I don't want this. I've had enough. I want this instead. I'm missing this. Allow it to come out and own it. Because I can tell you now that when you can find out who you're missing, what you're missing, what's actually really important to you, that's when you can tune in to realize that these things are really important to you. If you'd have asked me before these lockdowns, what was the one thing I needed each day, I would have said coffee. One decent cup of coffee a day. And that meant where I live, it's a bit of a village. There's no decent latte here. You're not getting decent coffee. We had to go out for it. When we've come through this, I've realized actually the coffee was a connection time for me. That's what coffee was about. It was connecting with a part of the British me. But it was connecting and sitting there with my friend or my partner, whoever I was with, or myself, and having 15 minutes, because that's roughly how long it takes me to drink a latte, 15 minutes of peace and quiet with no phone. That's what a coffee meant to me. You asked me before lockdown, even though I do all this work, I teach all this work, I'd have said to you, it's about coffee. So now I take those 15 minutes and I make my own Turkish coffee. And I can sit and have that time for me. I don't need to go out for that anymore. It's not important. So what are the things that you think you are missing? And what actually was it about it you are missing? It can be sometimes that, you know, you're missing going out for dinner. Why? Because actually you need that providing for. It's not about whether you're going out for food. It can be about whether or not that person is bringing food for you, that you're actually having one of your needs met. In all these simple things that we take for granted, there can be underlying emotional things that we're gaining from. They're, you know, the secondary benefits, secondary gains, that's what I was looking for. And it can be from stupid things like going for a coffee. Not about the coffee at all. So when you start to identify what you're missing, you can actually start to step in the possibility and the opportunity. When you start to realize that actually coffee was about connection, how could you instigate connection in your life? One of the best questions I was ever taught was, how is it possible? And just to stay in that question, not to answer it, is how is it possible for this to happen, for this connection to happen? How is it possible that I can have enough money I need to do for this dream? How is it possible? And when we stay in that question, magic can start to occur. So I would love everybody to start typing in their thoughts about where you are with your own dreams and goals. Are you really living your true selves? What is it success means to you? So they're not easy questions, I know. They're thought, you need to think, but it would be great to hear some of your feedbacks. And I do apologize that I look like I'm melting. I've just seen myself on screen. That's not a good look. So one of the reasons, so excuse me, I shall just fan. For those who, being in Turkey, outside gets very loud. I'm pretty sure it's got probably nothing on India, but we've had to close everything up. And today was the first day of summer. So I'm still not used to this. No. Okay. Have I got anything on chat yet? No.
Okay, guys, why don't you write down what is it that success means to you? Come on, guys, in the chat box. That's better. Thank you.
Perfectly, Nia. Success when I can finally accept myself and self-love. And how beautiful is that?
Absolutely. How about others putting in their stuff too? There's nobody judging here. We're just getting to know each other. Yeah? Beautiful. Just put your thoughts there, and I'm sure you'll go back more enriched and empowered.
Can I have a? Can I speak a little?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Um, Success. I don't think. I would rather think success in the terms of spiritual knowledge, or what everyone knows, what is called self-realization. Um, once, I mean, that's the ultimate destination of all human beings. Self-realization. Uh, in terms of, I mean, I don't relate anything with religion, although it has been said that religion without science is lame, and science without religion is blind. Here I'm more concerned about spiritual aspect, and self-realization is the ultimate goal, I suppose, for all of us. Um, yes, this is what I you see. When we listen to too much of psychological terms, um, it just goes above the head. Um, Ultimately, there is what is called ignorance. Ignorance is true original sin, and men are bankrupt because they do not know the gold mine in them. Um, yeah, this is what I can express.
Thank you
Over to
so
you.
much. Thank you so much for that. Anybody
Thank
else?
you. I would just like to say you're absolutely right. Self-realization, I think, is the first success point on our journey of purpose. Because when we have that self-realization, we can be completely, what I term, real with ourselves. And in order to be real with ourselves, we have to have self-realization. When we can start on that journey, then we can really access our feelings and emotions underneath that. We can get out of our headspace and into our hearts. And that's when we can really start to emotionally feel our journeys. What is right for us? Does this excite me? Does this have a spark attached to it? Is this the calling that I feel is me? And I think that journey, the starting point has to be self-realization. You're absolutely correct. That coming into that self-realization, that to me is success point number one.
It's like, telling God that I want to go into the field. So God says, no, you go to the town. But God, there is no flowers out there. So God says, well, there's a crown to win in the town. Uh, uh, do you understand the meaning behind it?
I think I do.
So, so this is where, most of us, we are ignorant of spiritual laws. That's that is where we are, groping in the dark. Even something like institution of marriage, um, most of the youngsters in the present times, they are afraid to step into marriage because they idealize, they dream about, the things that they, uh, their, their expectations are such which are unrealistic. So falling in love and undergoing wedding, it's all very simple, but ultimately the how strong the marriage is depends on how strong is your love. You see, one has to undergo harshest of the conditions, and surviving the turmoil in that marriage makes the marriage strong. This kind of knowledge, we most of the youngsters are lacking in, because you said you like to have an ideal partner whom you can chat with while having coffee. So I don't know whether you understand where I'm what I'm trying to hint at. In life, you know, it is said that the wrong person gives the right lesson. So we cannot escape if we want to reach our final destination. We have to
Oh,
accept life as it is. We are just players on the life stage.
Thank you,
Well,
sir.
thank you. I think
Thank you, sir.
this is a whole different subject I could talk about for hours for,
Yeah.
which is what we came down to live, experience, and the bigger plan to our lives here. But in ways, you're absolutely correct. We have been, I think, systematically, taught that emotions don't exist for us. We are pushed down of you do the job because you have to pay for the bills, you have to do this. Yet there is so much I'm trying to think of the word now. We put an illusion onto what we're seeing. I grew up thinking romance would be like Disney. My prince would come in and save me from my horrendous life, because that's a really good relationship belief that you want. So you have people come in and save you. But as you said, the wrong people give you the best lessons. But are we tuning in to actually learn those lessons? Are we in that space of being okay with having been perhaps a victim, having been perhaps somebody who, wasn't the best side of us? Are we okay with that, learning that lesson? And actually, it's a human defense system to say, no, we did okay, it was them. When we can own ourselves and say, this is part of the journey, we can gain strength from that and really start to look at the opportunity and lessons that occurred. I will be honest, talking about marriage, that for me has been the ultimate goal. And now I found that person, but it took me till I was 37 years old, and trust me, a track record of disastrous relationships, abusive relationships, where I had to stand up and say, if I want that relationship of my dreams, I have to say that I am also part of the other relationships. And 50% of that drama was down to me. Why? I was running my patterns and I was enabling behavior. Does it excuse it? No. But why was I doing that? Why was I not able to live my worth then, like I can now? And I don't know whether I believe in a big God or a big universe, or I know there's something bigger out there than me. And that was what I was working towards, because if I had met my partner just even 2 years before, we weren't at that same point in our journey. He wasn't realizing what was missing in his life, and I wasn't realizing who I am. And we couldn't have come together. So yes, we do have planned purpose at some points, but if we don't do the work and take our own responsibility and step up into ourselves, then those opportunities can change along the way. I believe when we start as a baby, we start off with full potential of who we're going to be. And the majority of parents want you to fulfill that potential. But a lot of it comes from, they want to fulfill the potential as they see how you could feel potential, not actually what your heart is singing for. When you can tune into what your heart is singing and what makes it sing, and follow that and honor it and honor yourself, then your life will start to change. You will start to open up, attract amazing possibilities and opportunities and experiences. Why? Because your vibration is actually running at the place you should be in within the universe. You are then on your path and living yourselves. And when we do that, we up our vibration. Did that make sense?
Susie, I believe everything is well planned. Much before we take birth, our soul has decided what all experiences, what all things we need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no accident or chance of, having this particular wife, this particular husband, this particular children, um, professional status and financial status, all that. Everything is well planned. So it doesn't make sense to protest uh, why I'm not in a much better condition. Everything is well planned.
So I love your ideas, but I was just wondering whether Susie would like to continue with this discussion, or would you like to continue with what you were going
No,
with?
no, nothing. I'm just trying to coincide spiritual aspect.
Absolutely, sir, and I absolutely value that. But it would be nice if we could allow her to just speak what she wanted to actually.
Yes, of course.
Thank you
Thank
so much. I really, really appreciate. And you've been so wonderful at giving your input. Uh, but let's just allow her to continue putting up what she really wanted to say. And I really appreciate. Thank you. Yes, over to you, Susan.
Actually, I will just give a brief answer, and then I'm going to take everybody on to do an exercise if everybody would like to.
Yeah.
Which is, yes, having been on this journey and so many amazing teachers around me, this conversation has come up a lot of times. Is our soul journey pre-planned? I don't know for 100%. I believe that, yes, we are deemed to meet people. I believe we have contracts before we come in to meet up with certain people. And I believe that we come down to experience certain things. How we perceive in this lifetime what we signed up for previously, our perceptions can change. But one thing is that it's the emotion that takes us through. But with that comes choice. And it's the one thing that we do have as humans is choice as to when we learn those lessons. Are we going to be forced into learning those lessons, or do we jump in to begin with? And it comes down to, why does somebody wait till they're in their 50s or 60s to meet the person of their dreams? Why didn't they meet them when they were 18? When we come into this transformation work, why do we have these traumatic experiences that made us wake up? Why did we have them at the age we did and not before or not after? These come down to our following our path and how quickly or how slowly we choose to be doing it. There are some of us with our energies who are like, yay, let's get on with it. And there are other times where we take things slowly. The universe is trying to put us onto our right path, and we are going everything against it. Just like when I mentioned earlier, I met the fella in my dreams, the bloke I'd been trying to manifest. He actually ticked 99% of the things on my 3-page list of what I wanted in a man. And I was still trying to send him away because of my beliefs. All it would have taken is for him to have said at one point, fine, I'm gone. My purpose, my agreements would have changed. Although we come in with it, is it fluid or is it down to us? We have the power within our lives to create that change. We have our powers to also walk away and decide not to make the transformation, not to change, to stay with our issues, to stay in our comfort zones. You know, there are many people, I could say family members who I love to bits, but some of them are determined to stay where they are, no matter what information, help, opportunity, and possibility comes to them. That's their purpose. That's what they're choosing. It doesn't have to be. So as we come through life, we have that point where we have choice. And the universe or God, or however you choose to frame it, that's a personal choice for all of us. Will give us everything we need. But it's, are we open-minded and open energetically to receive it? I don't believe for 1 second that even though in our depths of desperation we can feel abandoned, that we are ever abandoned. I believe that the universe is there supporting us, because if we were important enough to be born and put onto this planet with a purpose, we are important enough to be nurtured through it. But it's whether or not that we, with our own traumas, our own issues, our own belief systems, are open to that point of receiving it. So when you all tune inside and into your hearts, if you could have anything at this moment in time that your heart truly wanted, are you fully open to actually receiving it? Is your heart open for that to come back to you? And as you think about that question, you know, would you be open if it was just a little sign that you had to follow and create action? Would you be prepared to create action in order for that to be obtained? And this is where, when we look at, you know, come back to my talk with Carl Dawson and Fluffy, realize your dreams actually is so much more about you knowing and understanding yourself and being accountable for yourself. But then opening up and letting the magic happen. At no point are any of us unsupported. We may think we are, we may have experiences that tell us we are, but we are not unsupported. Just as people have opened doors for me, the neighbor opened the door to Lena. There have been people who have opened to you in those moments of time where you just needed somebody, either on a big help basis or a tiny little help basis. We are never unsupported. So I'm going to ask if you would all like to do an exercise to actually bring in some good things for your heart, some good things to help clear the energy, and see if you're really open to allowing that to come through.
Can you all put it down in the chat box?
Oh, I've got chats. Oh, what have we got here? So we've got some about success. While you're writing, I'll read these.
So can you all put down in the chat box, are you in for an exercise? If yes, just put yes there. If no, then just put no there. Okay. Yes, they're all in for it. Yes. That's
Perfect.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to all just sit back and relax, and just take a few deep breaths whilst placing your hand on your heart, and allow your breaths to become regular. Allow your breathing to calm down, and for you to focus on yourself, just being in that place of breath, relaxation. And then I'm going to ask you to start thinking, what is it that your heart truly desires? What is it that would make your heart sing? And as you start to feel your heart and start to connect, just ask yourself, on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being positive, how much do you truly want this? And if you feel that there's blocks there, I'd just like you to start tapping the side of your hand. Okay. So there's a couple of you with blocks there, so I'm just going to focus on you guys at the moment. So just tune into that emotion. Just say, even though my heart wants this,
My heart wants this.
but I don't feel it's ready.
I don't feel it's ready.
There's something blocking me. And it's bringing up emotion. I choose to love and accept myself anyway. So even though I've got this emotional block, to what my heart truly wants, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. But even though I've got this block, to what my heart truly wants. Maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe I do. Maybe there's many reasons that I don't understand at the moment. I choose to love and accept myself anyway. And we'll just tap through the points and starting at the head and working way down the points. Is this block to what my heart wants? This block to what my heart wants. Maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe I do deserve it. This block to what my heart wants. Why can't I have it? What if I can have it? What would it mean to me if I did have it? And just take a deep breath in and out. And as you do, just think, what emotions would come if you actually had achieved this? So when you tune into what your heart really wants, how would you feel if you'd actually achieved it? What's the positive emotions there? And allow those positive emotions to just come in as colors as you tap. And allow those positive colors to just wash through you. Allowing the energy to release. And take a few deep breaths as you allow that positivity to enter into you. And allow it to connect with your heart. Okay, and what would be the pictures? Just think of the pictures that would mean that you actually have your heart's desire. If you had to have an image of that, what would it be? And allow yourself to see and focus on that image. And as you keep tapping, just allow your heart to open up to that image. And then allow your heart to bring that image into it. Will it accept the picture? And as that picture comes into your heart, allow your heart to send those feelings around your body. Of having achieved this, of having those positive feelings. And then allow your heart to send that picture outside of you. And make that picture of having your heart's desire bigger and brighter outside of you. And then I'm going to ask you to step into that picture. And as you step into that picture, I'd like you to imagine your heart starting to create a magnet. Be in that picture. Feel that picture, that emotion. And allow this magnet, however you see it to be, to build within your heart. And ask that everything that is needed for this goal, for this dream, for this heart's desire to happen, to be attracted by that magnet. And allow everything, no matter how small, no matter how big. Imagine everything that's needed coming towards that magnet and your heart absorbing it. And as your heart absorbs it, allow that magnet to become bigger and brighter and to completely start to fill you so that you become that magnet. It may be a coil, it may be a light, it may be a color. And allow this magnet to activate, knowing that if it's money for certain things, it's coming. If it's help, if it's wisdom, if it's knowledge, if it's something physical, whatever you need to help you get your heart's true desire, it's coming to you. And allow yourself to feel that. Allow that magnet to attract everything it needs. And take as long as you need over that process. And if you wish to sit with your hand on your heart, or you wish to stay still or continue tapping, do so. Allow everything that you need to come to you. It doesn't matter that you don't consciously know what it is yet. The universe has that emotion for you. And only when you feel like that everything has come to you, just come back into the room. It may take a few seconds, it may take a few minutes. Just stay with it as long as you wish. Okay, and it would be great whilst everybody's sort of staying in the process of ones who've come around, if you could just message me with how that felt for you, that would be great.
I would like to say teşekkürler.
Oh, Richard Adam. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Bir şey değil.
You speak Turkish. Oh no, I could have a whole nother conversation, but I'm known for talking. We might have to after.
I ask a question. Anu, also, you last a couple of sessions back, you made us tap too. Can you explain to me what this tapping is? I love it, but what is the background of the tapping?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did think everybody kind of had an idea. Well,
no, I don't. And Anu did it with us the last time, and I think it's really, I love it. But what is the background of it?
It is absolutely fantastic, this tapping. And Anu is an amazing teacher as well. Tapping is activating basically our energy system. So a lot of acupuncturists believe there's the energy system within inside the body.
Mm-hmm.
And we're activating it through tapping and not through needles.
Okay.
And so by doing that, we can really focus on trauma and negative emotions and help transform them and more organically move through them into something more positive. But I'm going to leave that I can go on for a while about that. So I'm going to leave that.
Like it's the whole body, I feel it in the whole body. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I know, I think you may have somebody here who would like to learn from you. Oh, you're on mute, Anna.
I cannot hear you.
Thank you so much. It was so beautiful. It was so lovely. I actually could do it. Most of the time I'm so busy regulating over here that I don't get the opportunity to be in that place myself. I loved it. Thank you. And I saw myself standing on a beach and kissing. So that was very nice.
This is it. I tell you what, so many people think that when we're working through trauma or we're working at manifesting something, we've got to clear all these traumas. Actually, so many exercises can be so simple yet effective. We forget that something we can do in 5 minutes that really brings us into our heart can be, more effective than doing 20 minutes slogging at it thinking I'm gonna do this. So throughout my journey, I've always tried to make transformation joyful and easily, or else I would have given up with the tears and the trauma and walked away. There was enough tears and trauma. I wasn't out for looking at every piece of homework I was doing to be tearful and traumatic. So I make everything fun.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Please write down in the chat box how you felt, and or you can unmute yourself and share so that Susie comes to know how you felt, or you can put it in the chat box. And yeah. So we'll end with the ceremonial song, and you'll have to be hearing a Hindi song today because you hear a lot of other songs. You haven't ever heard a Hindi song, so we'll introduce you. Anya has got introduced to too many Hindi songs.
I'm so excited, actually.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
Actually, reading everybody's comments, thank you so much. And oh, some stuff, walking in my dream house facing the beach. Oh, fantastic. Now that's a good one, I have to say. Living by the beach was my dream, to have that fresh air, and it is beautiful. So, yay. Anybody else at the moment?
So I'm going to